So we are this month, we're of course for those of you who are just joining in, we're doing month by month. We do a different topic, and we're doing the 7 factors of awakening now, and this is the first month, and that would be mindfulness. Mindfulness is one of 7. Once again, it was a great surprise. It was a great surprise to me to know that there were 7 factors of awakening. For the longest time, I thought it was only mindfulness. The other 6 weren't mentioned a lot early on. Again, and the teachings came over here. There are some things that came over right away and were rarely emphasized and were really predominant. And there were some that were very much part of the tradition and in there, but they just weren't brought forward in the same way. The 7 factors of awakening. Yeah. In fact, some of you may not have heard of them until recently. I don't know how that is with your practice, but anyway, we're going to cover all of them, and in some with some nuance. So a lovely thing about these meetings, we can take a topic and stay with it over a few weeks. So mindfulness, just important to know that mindfulness was really one of the Buddha's great contributions to contemplative practice. It's not that he discovered mindfulness. Just like somebody didn't discover the internet. It was there, but it was brought forward by him as an important central part of contemplative practice. Prior to that, concentration practices were prevailing throughout, very much in the Hindu traditions, and early on with wandering ascetics, etc. It was always the concentration practices. So it was about becoming more absorbed in one object, and creating really refined, peaceful states of mind, and that was considered to be the goal and the deepest place of contentment or happiness that could be found. And the Buddha did all those practices. And he developed very high degree of concentration practices. They're well mapped out in the tradition now, these states of concentration. And but he found out that at some point that didn't seem to be enough. And the short story of that is that, when he came out of concentration practice, still the mind started to show up again in its usual patterns, and those patterns included movements of mind, let's say, that were not the most comfortable movements of mind. In particular, there were movements of judgment, movements of grabbing, movements of pushing away, movements that created they were disruptive to an ongoing state of contentment and ease, like you could find in deep concentration practice. You say, well, yeah, but it's not happening out here. It does happen when I go deep into concentration, but I come out and it's like, it's kind of sketchy out here. It's kind of sketchy out here. So maybe I just have to go back into concentration. Okay. Yeah. Well, but still, did not seem to be, never the twain shall meet. That did not seem to carry over to now, when he came out of concentration, that everything was just flowing steadily. Yeah. And smoothly. I said, well, what if this was his big thing? This is important to know. And in the contemplative world, this was his thing. He came out and said, okay, I'm going to take my concentration practice and I'm going to start to look really carefully, moment to moment, at my experience as it's arising. I'm not going to get so concentrated that I no longer am aware of moment to moment arising. That's what happens in deep concentration. You're not aware of moment to moment experience arising. It's all you've kind of it hasn't disappeared, but it's in the background. It's not showing up at all when concentration gets deep. You said, I don't want to go that deep. I want to start paying attention moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. This is what we now call mindfulness, right? We call this mindfulness. Pay attention, moment to moment experience as it's arising. Well, without judgment. This is how we understand part of the definition of mindfulness, right? Paying attention moment to moment intentionally. It's an intentional. Mindfulness is intentional. I'm intending to pay attention moment to moment to my experience without judgment, right? Great. Without judgment, it's right in the definition of mindfulness, but without judgment is pretty much an aspiration. Because as soon as we're not mindful, we're judging. So it's like, oh, wait a second. Paying attention without judgment is already radical. It's already radical because that's not what we do. Pay attention to things without judgment. Pay attention to things without, he said, and he discovered three things here. First of all, this is part of the problem, that we are judging all the time. If we're not paying careful attention, we're judging. And not only are we judging, we're also surprised, craving, and avoiding. So he said, well, no, this came out of a really, with strong concentration, he started to pay attention. He went, oh my goodness, this is where the first noble truth came from, dukkha. Yeah. When I'm not paying attention, this is what is going on naturally in the mind. Yeah. First of all, I'm judging a lot. I'm judging myself a lot. Yeah. But I'm also grabbing things that I want to stay around, and I'm pushing away things that I don't want to be around. And that doesn't work so well. Those things create a kind of a rolling sense of dissatisfaction or dis-ease, pushing, pulling, one. As you also saw, as you look carefully, we're not going into that today, you also saw it's all so impermanent, moment to moment. And yet in that permanent flow of experience, I'm judging, grabbing, and pushing all the time. That's the way we're wired. That's the way we're conditioned all the time. We're doing it right now. We're doing it right now. We're always orienting toward a little bit more comfort and away from a little bit of dis-ease, whether it's in the body or the mind. We're always, that's happening automatically. It's happening automatically. Yeah. Yeah. It's part of our evolutionary wiring. It's not a defect. That's our natural state of mind. Absent mindfulness. That's our natural state of mind. We are pushing all the time and pulling all the time. I like something, I want it to stick around. I don't want something, I want to push it away. And I judge. I'm not whispering nice things into my own ear. And mindfulness begins to highlight that. In fact, it's one of the most important functions of mindfulness. The Buddha said it's the first and most important insight. It's not the insight that we want to have. I thought these were going to be beautiful insights. There are beautiful insights, but here's the first one. We're always judging, we're always craving, and we're always avoiding or pushing things away. That's the natural state. That's what's going on. That's what's going on a lot. That's what's causing a lot of the rolling kind of ratty kind of dissatisfaction that's rolling through our system all the time. Not necessarily in a profoundly dissatisfying way, but in a relatively low-grade, chronic-y kind of way. Yeah, which is why he said that dukkha, that dukkha means that, you know this, right? The core definition of dukkha, what it really means is, in those days they had carts, and there was an axle that connected the wheels, right? And dukkha was, well, the axle didn't fit very well in the wheel well, so that when every time the wheel turned, it went bump, 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 bump. That's what's going on in our minds. It's not smooth. It's not smooth, and it's not easy. It's not comfortable. It's not flowing because we're pushing and we're pulling and we're grabbing, and we want something other than what is here to be here. Yeah, that's right. And so mindfulness begins to highlight that. And in fact, the most important bit, the most important piece with mindfulness initially is to begin to see that, to begin to see, oh, judging is happening. See it. Oh, craving is happening. Oh, I see it. Oh, avoiding is happening. I see it. So it's beginning to bring that steadiness, that just non-judgmental attention into all those moments where it's not non-judgmental attention. Yeah, this is not the happiest news for us, but it is the way. It is the way toward freedom. First, we have to turn toward and see what we've been up to, see what we've been doing, see what we're identified with, see what we see. We have to see all those bits. Yeah, we have to see all those bits, because then we can learn how gradually to stop doing that here and there, to lighten up, yeah, to ease, to bring some ease and steadiness more and more. First, a little bit on the cushion, a little bit here and there, yeah? bringing intention to these patterns. Yeah, yeah. So enough for today. Thank you for your kind attention. Let's practice together. Yeah, yeah. We'll open up a little bit first. Yeah, open up the body first. And when you're ready, beginning to slow it down and gradually smaller movements, and then lightly closing the eyes. And orienting towards settling a bit more, maybe expanding the breath. And if you will, we can form the intention during this period of practice to not be judgmental, to simply attend to our experience with care and without judgment, but then notice when judgment arises anyway. So notice, oh, notice, and don't add more to that judgment. Don't extend that judgment. Just notice and let go. And bringing caring attention, bringing that forward. You see that intentionally bringing caring attention forward. And when the mind wanders away, and you notice that, being willing to return to the present moment with caring attention. Softening. The last few minutes of the meditation, settling back a bit more, taking hands off the wheel, receptive, caring attention.